Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the First Jedi podcast. This is episode 4, and today our primary focus is going to be on the event Force Friday 2, what happened, what you were expecting to do, and what you actually got, maybe what you pre-ordered, and basically the overall experience of it. Today we're going to have several guests on the podcast. I'll probably be splitting this up into 2 separate episodes, so it's not too long. We're going to be talking to Victoria from Victoria's Cantina. We're going to be talking to Paul Harrison, of course, my co-host, Aaron from Toy Shelf Review, and possibly a couple others in the second half of the podcast. I'll be bringing on 2 or 3 other people. And so today we're going to start off with Victoria from Victoria's Cantina. And if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself, Victoria, tell people she's from YouTube. Go ahead and tell them about your YouTube channel.
Hi everyone, so this is Victoria from Victoria's Cantina, and I maintain a YouTube channel in which I review toys and collectibles across a varied spectrum of movies, franchises, and properties, companies, with a primary focus on Star Wars. Mostly it's Hasbro, but we also look at SH Figuarts, we look at Mayfax, we look at other companies as well, and then we also do Jurassic Park, DC, Marvel, but it's primarily Star Wars, and then to a lesser extent we do the dinosaurs, Jurassic Park, and other dinosaur companies' products. We're also on Instagram. I do daily figure. It's a different 3 3/4-inch Star Wars figure every single day, and regularly put things on Instagram as far as the new products go from Hasbro and various companies. I like to do the different photos of the different items, and then I'm also on Twitter at Vic's Cantina, and we have a Facebook page as well. So we get around as far as being on social media goes.
That's a lot of stuff. I didn't even know about half of that stuff. I've never even heard of Daily Figure. Where is that at?
That is on Instagram. So you can find me on Instagram at Victoria's Cantina, and Daily Figure comes up every evening.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've actually been a subscriber to your channel over the last few years under different YouTube names because I always forget the password and have to start up a new one. And so what was it exactly that got you into doing a YouTube channel in the first place?
Well, I've been collecting, I like to say ever since I was a kid, because one thing that we always had growing up, my parents, my family, they always were very generous with toys. We always had toys, all kinds of different things, not just like Disney or Barbie, things like that, but we had Ninja Turtles, Batman, Power Rangers, Ghostbusters, all the old, Kenner, Playmates, vintage type stuff. Star Wars came in a little bit later after that. But so I've kind of been a lifelong collector, and, having all that exposure to toys as a kid just stayed with me into adulthood. And a few years ago, as back in 2013, I found myself with some life changes. I had a lot of extra free time. So I thought, why not try out doing this on YouTube? Why not try showing and sharing the passion I have for a lot of these collectibles with other people? So that's what I started doing. And I started doing, videos here and there, just random things that I had in my collection, mostly Star Wars. That's how the channel started, showing Star Wars, because that does make up, a huge bulk of the things that I collect. And it kind of just grew from there. Initially, it was a little bit slow. After a year, 2 years, I started noticing the same people, following me and commenting on the videos, and made some pretty cool friends over that time. And it wasn't more until the last 3 years or so that things really started taking off. So I expanded that into podcasting. We do the Cantina Chatter podcast. That's on iTunes, Automatic, SoundCloud, and so forth, YouTube. And then started extending that to Instagram, where we do the daily figure. And it's just been a really, really enjoyable thing because it isn't what I do full time. I don't work on toys full time. I do other things, but it is a nice thing for me personally since I do have that passion for it, and I've been doing it all my life. I really love to share it and talk to other people about their experiences and what they collect and see what they collect and hear their stories about what they're finding in the stores and so forth. So. That's basically how the YouTube channel got started, and I've been a little bit busier lately, so the videos are coming out at a little bit at a slower pace, but I kind of like that approach because I am able to more focus on each individual video, so it's been a lot of fun.
So do you remember what your first exposure to Star Wars, how old you were, or any of that kind of stuff?
It must have been, I wasn't around until after the original films were out of theaters, so it must have been probably in the late 80s, when I was really little. I probably saw them on television, and those are my earliest memories. The first one I actually recall seeing on TV was Return of the Jedi. That sticks with me for some reason. I remember, Jabba's palace and seeing all that, all the aliens. And it wasn't until a little bit after that, a few years later, where I kind of started following the films a little bit more. I remember my mother purchased the original trilogy on VHS, and we would watch those constantly. And then that's where the toy collecting started coming in. It was when the Power of the Force 2 launched back in the mid '90s, and that's kind of when I started collecting Star Wars actively.
So here's a really difficult question. Do you actually remember your very first Star Wars, toy or product?
When I go back to my parents' house, because they live in Texas, totally different state from where I'm at now, I do have a vintage bucket.
Uh-huh.
I also have the vintage Tauntaun, and it's missing one of its horns. So those would have been the very first Star Wars figures that I would have ever owned. I don't know exactly when those came in. I don't know how I got them. But the actual first figure I purchased was the Power of the Force 2 C-3PO.
Wow. Yeah, I don't remember the first figure that I purchased because I don't think, I didn't do a whole lot of that. I was a lot like you where my dad was very much into Star Wars, and whether I liked it or not, even though I did like it, I just kind of ended up with it anyway. And for the most part, I actually had more or less the entire original vintage collection. And I do remember that my very first figure was C-3PO, though. He was by far the loosest figure that I had. And I think my second one was probably R2-D2. And because my dad was he's like a mechanical engineer, so he liked the robots. And so I may not sound as old as I am, but I'm actually more like Paul's age. We're original trilogy guys, and I've seen literally all the movies in theater on opening day, including the special editions. The only one I didn't really see was the Phantom Menace in 3D. Guess that was an IMAX somewhere. I know they do those. They've shown all three of the prequels in 3D at different kind of conventions that were pretty exclusive. But for the most part, I've been around for the whole thing. And I'm still into it. Every time I try to get out of it, something just brings me back to it. I guess the new movies. But so when you started collecting, basically Power of the Force 2 is when you actually started collecting. Are you like a completist or collect variations and all that kind of stuff?
When I started collecting back in the mid-'90s, I was a kid. I was in elementary school, but it was I was kind of trying to collect as many figures as I could for the basic line, and the same with the 12-inch. At the time, it was the collector's series. That was the big thing, all the figures. So I was trying to collect all of those too. But after those first couple of years, Kenner went into overdrive on what they were putting out there, and when the Power of the Force 2 changed, like the green cards, and then after that, they were just putting out tons and tons and tons of figures. So, as a kid, I didn't have unlimited resources or anything, so it was kind of hard to keep up. So ever since around that time, I've kind of tried to focus on the figures that I like the most. When Hasbro kind of changed to the super articulated sort of format, when they really changed to the higher quality, like in 2006, that's when I kind of started buying more and more of the figures. And that's kind of been the case ever since. But now that they've kind of regressed back to 5POA in a lot of areas, I've been a lot more selective with what I buy. I buy all the Black Series stuff, but for the 5POA stuff, I'm very, very selective.
Have you picked up the new Black Series Luke Skywalker yet? The 3 3/4 one?
No, I haven't gone back because I know that the Black Series 3 3/4 one from Walmart is coming, so I haven't touched the 5POA one. I'm going to wait.
No, I meant the super articulated. Oh, he's already out. He's been out. He's been out since Force Friday. But
yeah, the release date I think is November 1st. I know a lot of stores are putting those out and people are finding them, but no, I haven't had an opportunity to find that yet.
Yeah, I found an assortment where I found an actual case. I found a Tusken Raider. The Tusken Raider was the only one I have found that was left on Force Friday, but because I didn't get there till about 7 p.m. But we'll get into the Force Friday stuff here in a minute. So luckily for you, you were actually around, been collecting during the super articulated part. I know that's Paul, his main focus, but I actually quit collecting a couple of times. When I was about 12 or 13, I quit just because it seemed like the thing to do. It's like I wasn't into toys anymore. So, yeah, I quit because I wanted to save my money for a car. I actually tried to sell my stuff, but nobody wanted to give me like what I thought it was worth. And they were trying to get them on pennies on the dollar for like a nickel or a quarter per figure. I had like a little mini garage sale. And all I wanted to do was get a car so I could take my girlfriend out down the street. And she very much didn't like guys that still, had figures laying around and stuff like that. And she had a little brother, and we were actually friends. And he still played with action figures because he was a couple years younger. But what I did do, though, is I saved everything. I saved the entire vintage run, 78 to 85. Everything that I had, I decided just to keep it because I thought I just didn't want to part with it just because it was worth a lot to me, sentimental value. So when they did start re-releasing everything, like in 95, that's when I started collecting again. I had everything. I collected every single variation, all that kind of stuff. But when we got up to like about 1999, the episode 1 stuff, I wasn't a real huge fan of episode 1, the movie, and so I kind of lost interest in it. I actually, during the mid-90s, because I had a lot of contacts with Hasbro and Kenner, one of my friends was actually a dealer, like a store owner who sold collectibles and vintage toys and sports memorabilia and stuff like that. At the time, I was really only into sports and sports memorabilia, but when the Star Wars stuff was coming back and getting real popular again, I went ahead and started doing that too. And he had distributors, and we basically opened up a shop together. We got like about 5 or 6 shops in 5 different states. And so I became actually more or less a Star Wars retailer, but not just Star Wars, collectibles in general, movie memorabilia and stuff like that. And I'm actually trying to get out of it now because of The Last Jedi. They have so much stuff. I'm actually from the general area that you were from originally. I used to live in the Midwest, in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Indiana, all over. And I've been out in California for a really long time. Haven't seen a lot of people in a long time, so I decided my parents are getting older. They're begging me to come back. So I'm probably going to be moving back. So I'm trying to cut out as much as I can and I'm actually getting rid of a lot of my collectibles, but the only thing I'm really going to be keeping is the Star Wars stuff. And I'll be taking that with me. But the rest of the stuff, it's kind of up for sale if anybody really wants it. But yeah, Marvel, DC. I know you review that kind of stuff too. I actually did collect Jurassic Park a little bit when it was around. I used to like those dinosaurs. Just about anything from Kenner. I liked the Kenner stuff. I thought it was very interesting. And so once they got up to 99, I pretty much quit Episode 1 and Star Wars altogether, and I didn't come back to it. I had a few figures like in 2002 and 2003 just because Attack of the Clones came out, and I pretty much left the hobby altogether until about 2015, where I started running into a lot of 6-inch Black Series figures, and I thought they were so unique, and they were at a larger scale, a premium quality, and much more detailed, that they looked more like collectibles than toys. And so part of that is you have to have the right kind of girl or woman or wife before. Yeah, some people just don't accept it. And the smaller figures are considered toys to her, and the larger figures are considered like posable statues. They're like collectibles. And so she was kind of like, okay, the 6-inch, those are cool. The little ones, those are toys. No. And so I wasn't around for the super articulated stuff and the vintage collection and all that other kind of thing. I see them around, but now that they're bringing it back, and since I do have a retail license, even though I'm kind of getting out of it, Paul and some people in the Jedi Temple Archives, they've been asking, well, maybe I could do like a subscription service, which is something a lot of people want Hasbro to do, where you could possibly get like the figures like in number order, like in a set, or, one a month or whatever. And so I was kind of looking into that, and that's kind of what Paul was really wanting me to do, and how we kind of really connected, because I have a lot of contacts with Hasbro in the sales department. I know about future releases, sometimes good 12 to 18 months in advance. And so I kind of give Paul a little bit of information here and there, if it's not too much, so we don't get in trouble. But yeah, so that's kind of how we got Paul into it. And I missed the whole super articulated figures. I've only got a few of them, the 3 3/4 scale, but I'm going to start collecting them regardless of what my wife says. And mainly because of the Kenner, the vintage card backs, and the Kenner logo and all that kind of stuff that brings back memories from the original Star Wars. Yeah. I think I'm going to go ahead and bring on Paul right now and see what he's got to say, and then we can start about Force Friday 2 and how that went for everybody. So,
Awesome.
I'll get him on the line. All right, so how you doing, Paul? How was your Force Friday?
I'm
I'm doing great, thank you. Force Friday was unfortunately a little bit of a bust for me. I found a couple of the 5 POA figures and the vehicles and the deluxe sets with the Raptor and the Imperial Probe Droid, but 6-inch and all the exclusives that were supposed to be out in the Black Series line were nowhere to be found, so I was a little disappointed.
Wow. What about you, Victoria? Did you find any of the exclusives of the 6-inch figures?
I would say overall it was pretty average. I wasn't able to get to the stores at opening. I'm a kindergarten teacher, so I need all the sleep I can get, and if one little thing throws my schedule off, all havoc breaks loose. So I didn't find anything as far as the exclusives go. I was able to pre-order some of them online the night before, like the Snoke with the throne, the Guard 4-pack, and the Amazon, the 2 exclusives that they have with the Stormtrooper with all the gear, and then one of the Praetorian Guards. As far as exclusives goes, that's all I was able to track down. The next morning, luckily, and I'm still shocked about this, I happened to be online when the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives went back up on Hasbro Toy Shop. So I was finally able to get Grand Admiral Thrawn because I missed him at the show. He had sold out. So I was able to order him, and then I pre-ordered the SH figures, the new Kylo Ren, the new Rey from The Last Jedi. And I was able to finally make my way to the stores when I got out from work. And I didn't really, I went to Toys R Us, I went to Target, I went to Walmart, and I saw pretty much all the 5PA stuff except for Luke. And for the Black Series 6-inch, the only thing that I saw was a single Last Jedi Kylo Ren at Target. But other than that, I didn't see any other of the new 6-inch figures, none of the exclusives in the store. And I ended up leaving the store just with 2 things that I totally did not plan on buying. One was the Funko Pop Board, which I picked up at Target.
Uh-huh.
The other was the 5POA Chewie, since he came with her little porg, and I picked that up at Toys R Us. So, I mean, overall it was pretty average. I did the same thing that I did in previous years, which is I buy what I can online the night before. And then, I in the stores the next day. So pretty comparable to previous years.
So you pretty much got the whole 6-inch line coming to your door anyway from online, right?
Right.
The 6-inch Black Series?
I'm sorry, what was that?
So I said you pretty much have the entire 6-inch Black Series line coming to your door from buying it online then, right? Can you hear me, Paul?
I can hear you, yes.
I don't know. She can't hear me for some reason. I don't know.
Went up, I think, on Tuesday. I was able to snag her. She arrived.
Oh, she's breaking up on us.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought would happen.
So for the 6-inch stuff, as far as the exclusives go, as I noted, I wasn't able to get anything in stores, only what I was able to pre-order online. But as far as what I saw in stores, I didn't see the Executioner. I'm waiting for that online. Haven't been able to get it. Same with the Luke with the base. I don't think anybody's been able to pre-order that quite yet, as far as I know. I had pre-ordered the Thrawn and the Kylo Ren, but since I was able to get the Hasbro Toy Shop Thrawn with all the accessories, I went ahead and canceled my pre-order for Thrawn. For Kylo Ren, I canceled the pre-order for that since they're coming out with the Walmart version. I know it's going to be a pain to get, but I have that coming, and or I'm going to be getting that instead. And Hera, I was able to get a couple of days early since she was in my wish list on Amazon, and I was able to get her on Thursday. She came in, so. But other than that, like the Luke and the Rey, I already had those from Comic-Con, so I didn't buy those either. So the Stormtrooper and the Vader, I'm going to wait on those. It's already happened as well.
Don't you find it overwhelming, the constant reissuing of the same figures in different packaging? I know we experience this a lot in the 3 3/4 inch line, but it seems so much more palatable, I guess because the prices were significantly less. But, man, to get Luke and Rey for the San Diego Comic-Con and then to get them separately with no changes whatsoever, it just seems like a double dip that it's just not acceptable anymore.
Right. It's kind of strange because if you look at the last two films, Rogue One and then Force Awakens, the first couple of waves were just solid brand new figures, other than like Jin, who was a Comic-Con exclusive, and the Stormtrooper, which is the same thing. But like the waves, these first couple of waves are just repacks. Like you have for this first one, Stormtrooper and Vader, which if I go to any Walmart, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to find that Vader. And for the AT driver or AT pilot, they want to call it, in the Snow Trooper, I mean, you could still pick those up for about $15 on Amazon. I really don't see the point in reissuing those, other than because they have that centerpiece of Luke that's just come out. So it's a little disheartening.
Right.
Well, part of the reason they do that from a sales point of view is they're trying to get new collectors in it from the old trilogy. And not only that, they're packing 8 per case now. So the more repacks they put in there, the easier it is on them budget-wise. So you're still getting 5 new figures per assortment. You're actually getting more figures now than you were before. There's going to be like 5 new figures almost, well, in the first 2 waves. And then you got wave 3. It's got Jaina Solo and Rose. I can't remember the other ones at the moment, but I think Snoke, the regular release. There's a couple other ones, but they're actually putting out more stuff this way.
Mm.
And they're also selling. They're probably going to sell more this way because a lot of people don't have Darth Vader and Stormtrooper, especially people just now coming into the hobby.
Well, I think I pretty much know the answer to why we're seeing Darth Vader, Stormtrooper, AT-AT Driver, and Snowtrooper again, and that's to complement the Centerpiece collection. They want to get them back into the market to add figures to go with those. So, I mean, you could go online right now and find Snowtrooper and AT-AT Driver for like half the price that they go for, because they're in the previous case assortments. They just... I understand their reasoning, but they really didn't need those figures out at retail again.
This may sound a little shocking to you guys, but when I was at Toys R Us on my Midnight Force Friday, they had a guy that came in right before the Force Friday event. He brought back some Flame Troopers and AT-AT pilots and stuff like that. And when they opened that store for Midnight Madness, those were the first ones to fly off the shelf because those were old. And a lot of people didn't know that they were around, I guess, or something. But believe it or not, those actually sold for $19.99. And they didn't peg warm. They sold the whole peg. They only had 8 figures out. They had both waves. They had both Wave 12 and Wave 13, or Wave 1 and 2 of The Last Jedi, whichever you want to call it. But they were picked through by the employees before anything was already put out. There was no Luke Skywalkers. There were no Reys. There were all the primary characters from that one assortment. They pretty much didn't exist except for Finn. Basically the whole, everything that the Toys R Us put out had already been rifled through by the employees, and all the good stuff was already gone. There was only one Hera. There was one Hera and one of the Finn and the Imperial, or the First Order guys, so you could tell that they got both cases, but in total they only had 8 6-inch Black Series figures. And the first guy who got to them took the entire peg right off the wall and put it into his shopping cart. And the Toys R Us guy, they were enclosed in the Star Wars area because they didn't want you walking around outside of that area. They were only selling Star Wars. And as soon as he saw that, he's like, no, that's not going to happen. You take 2 figures that you want, the rest of them you put back, and each person can get up to 2 figures. That's it. So.
Well, there was only 8 figures at my store, and they limited to 1 per person. I mean, and I was with my buddies from my Philadelphia collectors group, and they were flipping out. They were so mad because they buy like 3 cases for themselves each, you know, and it was just, they just thought it was a complete and utter joke.
So basically, from what I've heard in the reports and the people I've talked to, the 6-inch figures, the first wave, most stores got at least 1 case of those, but Walmart by far, the super centers and the ones that are closed, like at midnight, that close at midnight, that don't stay open 24 hours, they would put them out in the morning, and they had the whole island full of Wave 1 and Wave 2 of those 6-inch Black Series figures, and they had, you know, dozens of them. They had like at least 12 cases each, and they were everywhere. But I didn't get there until 7 p.m. at my Walmart, so when I got there, there was a flood of Darth Vaders and Kylo Rens, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, bunch of repack.
There's going to be a lot of Kylo Rens and Darth Vaders for a while.
Yeah. So, which Force Friday, so you went to Toys R Us for your midnight event, Paul?
I did, and then that was in like Northeast Philadelphia, and then I went to a suburb in Bucks County called Langhorne. Have you ever heard of Sesame Place? I was right across the street from Sesame Place. But that Target store had a midnight opening, and it was ravaged already. There was pretty much nothing left, and they only got 1 of the exclusive Executioner clone troop, First Order Stormtroopers, so I missed out on that too.
I haven't seen any of those yet. I haven't even seen a Luke Skywalker yet. Not one single Luke. Well, I saw the one with the land speeder at Toys R Us, and that only lasted like 2 minutes. A couple people, they left the Ray with speeder, the 6-inch Black Series one, and I've seen that at a couple of different places, but I haven't seen any other Luke Skywalkers at any scale or any points of articulation. None of them. No Lukes at all. So when you got to your stores, Victoria, when you went to the stores that you went to, did you find any, like, yeah.
Cutting out a lot.
I couldn't hear her.
You want to hear me still?
Okay, yeah. All right, so how many places did you check after you went on your Force Friday, Victoria?
I went to 3. I went to Walmart. We had a Walmart that opened back in early June. And it's kind of a smaller Walmart, but it's a little bit less frequented, so I thought I would check that out. And, you know, sure enough, they didn't really have too much. And after that, I went to Toys R Us, and they had their Star Wars section for The Last Jedi, like right in front of the store, like right when you walk in. They're very easy to miss. I almost missed it. And then when you got to the actual Star Wars section in the action figure aisle, they only had, I think it was the Luke Land Speeder. They didn't really have any of the new stuff over there. It's all the old stuff that's been accumulating and collecting dust for the last few years. And then after that, the last place I went to was Target, and they had quite a few of the 5POA stuff, but they didn't have any of the 6-inch other than 1 Kylo Ren. You know, they had like all the miscellaneous stuff, like the plush Porg, a bunch of the Funko Pops, a lot of the Forces of Destiny stuff, things like that. So those are the 3 stores that I went to.
So you and I both live.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Victoria, do you see Forces of Destiny selling in your area?
Initially I did. It was actually kind of difficult to track down some of the figures, especially Ray. She seemed to keep selling out, like when they first came out. But after a couple of weeks, they started accumulating. So, and that's still the case. If you go to any of the stores that carry them, not so much Walmart. For some reason, they don't seem to really have too many of those. But Target and Toys R Us, they have quite a few.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
Are they in the action figure aisle or the Barbie doll aisle?
At Target, they're in the main Star Wars aisle, and they're in that area. At Toys R Us, they have them on a separate end cap.
So I've seen them at the Walmarts that I've seen them at. They're in the Barbie doll aisle. Everywhere else, they're in the action figure aisle.
Okay, maybe that's why I didn't see them.
Oh, let's see. Both of us live on the West Coast. We both live in California. And Paul lives on the East Coast. But you're saying that you saw figures that were collecting dust for the last couple of years. So you still have what of like old stuff still floating around down where you live?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think it's mostly a Toys R Us thing. Like, there's just a bunch of, not specifically Hasbro, even though there is a lot of Hasbro stuff, like Constable Zuvio. I mean, they're still drowning in that, and they're still drowning in the unmasked Kylo Ren stuff that should have been put on clearance a year ago. And then they have a bunch of stuff that's not by Hasbro, like all the electronic, like random things, and like the barbecue tongs, just random things like that.
So when your stores get stuff, they get like tons of it. See,
well, Toys R Us does.
Oh, see, my stores.
Yeah, the other stores are a little bit. It's really hard to find stuff in San Diego. I mean, most of what I buy, probably like 80 or 90% of the stuff I buy is online because obviously we have Comic-Con here, so it's a huge collector city. But as a result, it's also a huge scalper city. So it's really almost impossible to find stuff. A lot of the 3/4 Black series I never found at Walmart stores. And I have a lot of Walmart stores around here. There's quite a few. But it's nearly impossible to track things down.
See, personally, I see a lot of people complaining, saying they can't find this or they can't find that. But if you buy it online, you could pretty much find everything almost any time. And normally for retail, too, if you look in the right places. But seeing all these new figures coming out, I have noticed, like on the Boba Fett Han Solo 2-pack and some of the Rays, they have really crappy paint jobs, and especially the Han Solo. He looks hideous. And now I see why a lot of people don't want to buy online, and they'd rather sort through the figures before they buy them, and it's still a consistent problem. But it's only really just a few figures, if you actually think about it, compared to all the stuff that's actually out. But I was actually doing that myself at Toys R Us. I was going through all the Rays before I picked one, and I didn't buy any of the Han Solo Boba Fett 2-packs because Han Solo just looks so stupid. And, so that's kind of interesting because like in my area, you're in San Diego, I'm towards LA, more like the Inland Empire in Anaheim and that area, and I actually live in two different houses. I have a house in Anaheim and then another one in the Inland Empire, and the Inland Empire stores, they pretty much don't put anything on clearance. They sell everything full price 100% of the time, and for the most part it sells through because they don't get so much of it to begin with that basically they have no reason to put anything on clearance. So I guess that's why. But
gotcha.
So I guess, Paul, you're still...
They should have a reason. They should have a reason to put things on clearance because it's bottlenecking the line. It's a penny wise pound foolish. You know, they want to lose money on stuff that they've already bought, but it's preventing new stuff where they can make money from coming into their stores. Just doesn't make sense to me.
Uh-huh. Well, the Last Jedi stuff, this product launch seemed to be in full swing, even though a lot of people are saying they're still seeing Zubios and all this other stuff laying around.
Well, new product launches will do that, but once they figure out that, you know, whatever Last Jedi stuff doesn't sell, it's going to get thrown into the same pile as the Zubios, and it's just never going to go. They're going to say they have 60 figures on hand, you know?
Uh-huh. So did either one of you have anything like real? Well, Victoria didn't go out till later on, but was there anything special going on? Like in my area, a friend of mine, he had a video online where like Jeffrey was swinging around a lightsaber at his Midnight Madness. They didn't have anything like that at Toys R Us where I went, but at Target they had a full-fledged orchestra playing Star Wars music. They had the 501st there. All sorts of people dressed up as like full costume, TIE pilots, stormtroopers, even Boba Fett, Darth Vader. They had a puppeteer with a life-size, what's that guy's name? K2SO. They had tons of stuff at Target. It was like a full-fledged event there. You guys didn't experience anything like that? You didn't experience anything like that, Paul?
There was nothing like that by me at all, no.
Did you see anything special, Victoria?
I didn't. I'm sure if I would have gone at midnight or been there early in the morning, I might have seen something. But I heard that they were raffling out some porgs or something like that, with giant plush porgs. But no, by the time I got there, it was kind of business as usual. There wasn't really anybody looking at Star Wars other than myself.
Did they have a giant land speeder in the aisle when you went to Toys R Us?
No, but I heard about it.
Yeah, we had one of those, and this girl that worked there, she was riding around, and it was like a go-kart land speeder.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So even though I didn't really find a whole lot of stuff, I'll still remember it just because of the 501st thing.
Yeah, they do. Their costumes are phenomenal. I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, they were amazing. I see a lot of that stuff at Comic-Con, but I never thought I'd see that at Target. Okay, so overall, you guys, did you guys think that, did it live up to your expectations or less, or?
Who do you want to answer first?
Either one of you, Victoria, or?
Okay. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the whole Forced Friday thing, especially with the way that it's been handled by Disney and Hasbro, the way they're going about it. Personally, what I would like to see them do is kind of give each of the manufacturers, their own time to be kind of showcased in the media and so forth. Like, maybe you have 1 week leading up to Forced Friday where it's all Hasbro. Each day they showcase a new product. The next week you give it to Funko, then Lego, and so forth. And, just kind of build up that hype. That way, people don't just show up and they're like, okay, well, what is there available to buy? Because that's really difficult for the consumer. For Disney, if they want to make a big media thing out of it like they usually like to do, it's good for them from a business perspective, but for the consumer, it's absolutely a nightmare. So that's my biggest disappointment with the whole Forced Friday concept, especially the way that it's being done these days by Disney and Hasbro. But my overall experience was pretty average compared to previous years. I know a lot of people were able to find stuff, a lot of them weren't, and the same thing that you usually hear about. But I'd say it's pretty comparable. I'm not a huge fan of Forced Friday, but compared to previous years, I would say it was pretty average for myself.
Yeah, I agree with that marketing thing. Totally. What about you, Paul?
I feel very similarly to the way Victoria does. I feel that Disney has really sucked the joy out of product launches for Star Wars. They're a little bit too control freaky for my taste, and there's no reason why they can't officially reveal what's coming, in a list format, in a press release format prior to the event, so that people build up excitement and energy for the products and know what they're going for when they go to stores like Toys R Us and Target and Walmart. It's like sensory overload the day before, the day of, and the crackdowns that they for people who are excited to advertise the products for free for them, the way they treat them and the way we've been treated, as a Star Wars fan site, it has just upped the excitement and joy for me. So I just until they change their ways, I just don't think it's going to be an enjoyable event for me, at least. I hope kids enjoy it. I hope families enjoyed it. I hope collectors enjoyed it. But as someone who's in this industry, it's anything but enjoyable.
Right. I hate keeping secrets for a long time too.
Yeah.
Especially when you know everything is coming out 6 months in advance. That reminds me, Victoria, on Target, by the way, that Luke Skywalker with the base that you're talking about, the exclusive, he was available earlier, I don't know, a few days ago. Well, not a few days ago, but I guess on the 1st. You can pre-order him, basically. He ships October 1st, and he is a little bit different than the regular release. He's got a metal hand and soft goods, cloak, and supposedly... I don't know if the face is any different, but I heard it's supposed to be better. But the same with the Rey. I don't know if Rey's going to come with anything die-cast. Maybe her lightsaber will be die-cast, the metal hilt. Probably, because that's what I've heard before. And she also has soft goods on her costume.
You can't pre-order that Luke, though.
I went on there and it said add to cart.
Are you sure? Because
okay, it says ships October 1st.
Well, it says that, but there's no order button. It says coming soon.
Oh, I thought it was for order already. I'm not sure. I didn't order one, but I thought it said add to cart. I thought it sold out already.
Keeping track of this stuff. We have an order list on our front page, and we've been watching everything very closely.
Right. That's actually how I found it. I went on to Jedi Temple Archives. I saw it. I clicked on it, and I asked my friend if he wanted to buy one of those. And he's like, "No, that's cool," because it said add to cart on it. So maybe they changed it. I know Amazon does that a lot, too. Or maybe I just read it wrong. I don't know. But I know he's up there, and he ships on the 1st. A lot of the exclusives are. The GameStop exclusives should be shipping right away, I would think, because they're already... I know you can pre-order all those. But,
when you say that the Luke has a metal hand, do you mean like literally metal? Or, cause I know the first one has like the aesthetic metal hand.
Die-cast metal. It says so in the description.
Yeah, it looks like, it's metal, Victoria.
Die-cast metal and soft good probes.
Well, if you didn't already have it, then I guess that would push you over the edge.
That's why it's $39.99 or $29.99.
It says also includes die-cast accessories, premium fabric costuming, and enhanced authentic movie-accurate detail.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different than the regular release. Either way, it's going to be hard to get for a while.
It seems a little redundant to include a plastic cybernetic can as well as a metal cybernetic can. They could just on the one to make it really unique, you know?
Yeah.
But whatever.
I don't know what the base is made out of. I think it's plastic, but I think the only metal part of him is his hand. But I heard that the product description for Rey, even though I haven't actually seen it, was the same, and it said it had die-cast accessories. So the only thing I can think of, I guess maybe her gun and her lightsaber hilt would be die-cast. Because they're going for $30 a piece. They're not the $24.99 like Kmart. They're $29.99. They're $10 more than the originals. And they come in a much fancier box, too. Like a window box, an open box, where you open the front.
Well, hopefully they fix the seams on the case, because that was my biggest complaint with the Comic-Con version. That the seams were just really, really big and made it very difficult to pose it. And then to tie those strings around it and keep up was kind of difficult too.
Yeah, I've seen that. I didn't like that either. So as far as distribution, you guys think it's any better or worse than the two previous events? I didn't actually attend either of them, so I wouldn't know.
Paul, do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. I think distribution shows no signs of improving. Like I said, product launches always make their way to stores with very little problems. Exclusives make their way to stores with very little problems, but we're going to see a bottlenecking, I'm sure, and until they get rid of the replenishment system, we're going to struggle with this until the line's dead, you know?
Yeah. What about you, Victoria?
I kind of felt like the 5POA stuff was pretty readily available at the stores that I went to. So that's not distribution on as far as that goes seems to be okay, but I didn't see any leaks. So I have heard stories that some people that were there at midnight didn't find any leaks either. So it kind of seems like the employees were probably hoarding them in some cases. As far as the 6-inch goes, like I said, I only saw one Last Jedi Kylo Ren. Everything else I saw was old stuff, Constable Zuvio, and all the usual stuff we've been seeing for the last 2 years. So the 6-inch distribution, at least from when I went to the store, was pretty abysmal. As far as all the other stuff goes, like the 2-packs, there were plenty of those everywhere. The Raptor and the probe droid with Vader. I didn't see too many of those. Toys R Us had them, but I didn't see them at Walmart or Toys R Us. And the vehicles I did see everywhere, so, plenty of those, and that's probably partly due to how expensive some of them are. But I know Force Friday for The Force Awakens was terrible. I was there at the opening at Target, and it was terrible. I didn't get any of the 6-inch. I mean, they only had like 2 cases of those, and people grabbed them right away. And basic figures, they took all the popular ones right away, too, back then. For Rogue One, it seemed a little bit better. This year, like I said, I didn't make it to the stores at opening, but from what I could tell, it seems to be pretty much more or less on par with what we saw last year.
Force Friday 2015, was that in California or back when you were in Texas?
Oh, no, I haven't lived in Texas for over a decade.
Oh, wow. I thought it was just like a couple of years. Okay, well...
Victoria, you saw all the Rogue One waves at retail, no problem?
For 5POA, yes. For 6-inch, no. I think, if I'm trying to remember back, I might have found a couple of Death Troopers, but what else was in that first wave? It was Death Trooper, Jyn, Cassian, and was it K2SO, or did he come after that?
Yeah,
It really was K2SO, yeah.
And Kylo Ren.
Oh, and Kylo Ren and Mask, I believe, yeah.
And Rey.
Yeah, I remember seeing all of those last year. So it's actually gone a little bit worse than I guess you could say, because I only found one Kylo Ren this year.
Wow.
See, I didn't see anything beyond wave 1 of, beyond wave 2 of the 5POA for Rogue One.
I saw those in February at Kmart. But they like on February 1st at Kmart, I saw wave 3 of the 5POAs, and that's the last time I saw any new 5POAs back in February.
Yeah, distribution for the 5POA, I guess it's kind of always been the case, but the last wave of any line, almost impossible to find. I never saw like the unmasked Kylo Ren 5POA figure. I never saw that at retail. And the last wave with or the last couple waves actually, I don't remember seeing them on 5POA retail, and I know I didn't see like a Galen or so or that wave anywhere.
My distributors had plenty of those, but they only lasted like about 2 or 3 months when most of them last a good year. They still have Wave 1 and 2 of 5 POAs available right now. They haven't sold out. But according to the Hasbro reps that I talked to, each assortment is supposed to actually be available for about 12 to 18 months anyways. They try to make as many as they can for 12 to 18 months, so everybody has the option to buy them. And believe it or not, there are a few stores like Kmart, Target, even Toys R Us that will. They have an account. They have accounts with other distributors besides just Hasbro Direct, and when they like. Some of the distributors like Entertainment Earth that does wholesale distribution, every now and then they'll have like a flash sale like they do right now. You could get the Force Awakens Wave 2s for like $15 a case. No, wait. It was down that low for a while. Now it's like $23 a case. And regular price is like $90 a case or something like that. And or 70 actually back then. Some of those stores do that though. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people at Target was all of a sudden in the last few months they've seen Wave 4 of the Force Awakens figures just reappear out of nowhere. It's because there are a few retailers that do buy from Entertainment Earth when they have these flash sales, and they buy them in bulk because they're so cheap.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't realize that. They're like, oh my gosh, these things are peg warming. These have been sitting around for a year. No, they haven't been peg warming. They just got them in because they're reshipping them. That's the thing. So yeah, I mean, if you have something that sells or that you don't have any in the computer, why wouldn't you sell them? I mean, if you really think about it, Hasbro, if they really wanted to, they could probably coast at least for a few years, if not more, just on the figures that they produced over the last 20 years. They could probably just re-release old figures over and over again without ever making any new ones. And they could probably...
They have already talked about making a Gray's Pitch Black series. I think that was your question, Victoria, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Comic-Con, right? Yeah, they're considering like a Gray's Pitch of older Black series that need a second chance at retail. So hopefully they'll listen to us,
That'd be nice. Yeah, a lot of people didn't get those 2013 figures.
Or like Darth Revan, things like that. They're carrying forward the AT-AT driver and a snowtrooper, which, as we said, it's story reasons, they like to call them. They like to make a story without, which, I don't think I fully buy that because it's not like they're making waves like they used to, back, during Vintage and Legacy where the whole wave was based around a certain film. But, it's kind of the same reason that they said they're doing the Death Trooper for Vintage when it comes back instead of the Scarif Stormtrooper. So, it is just kind of sad they're not getting some of the really harder to find ones out, like Revan or R2-D2, things like that.
Right.
They're getting them out to e-tailers, though. I can tell you that much. Maybe not brick and mortar, but e-tailers have access to those right now. They have them in bulk, basically. Wave 9 and up is very much in stock pretty much everywhere right now. Even Wave 8s. Wave 7 and Wave 8s, they're still in stock too. Last time I checked. But Wave 9 and up, mainly Wave 9, 10, and 11, those are very much in stock and ready to order. I get representatives asking me to order those all the time. last couple of weeks.
What have you heard about the 40th anniversary Wave 2? I'm curious to what you've heard about that.
As far as I know, they're still in stock in Hasbro's warehouse. They're ready to go. I mean,
well, I know for a fact that they're out of stock, so I think your source is wrong about that.
I haven't checked with them though in the last couple of weeks. 'Cause the last time I talked to you about that was a few weeks ago, and I passed on them because my the co-owner of my store, they were asking him if he wanted to buy another 100 cases. They were going to give him an extra discount, and he passed on them because he said he's already got 100 cases coming, and that's the last time I actually checked on those. But like my representatives at the distributors, some of the ones that I talked to, like you guys posted Entertainment Earth for at least on the retail side, pushed them back to February, I guess, the pre-orders, and they have now listed them as sold out, pre-sold out, basically. And as far as I know, the 40th anniversary, they're more or less canceled, but there are limited supplies still in Hasbro's warehouse for maybe smaller companies, smaller e-tailers, not enough to fill like a big order for like Walmart or Target, but they're still available because they still ask me if I want them. So I could probably order 30 cases of them right now, but I don't think they would let me order 100. So I'm not sure.
Well, let's see what happens, I guess.
I know the R2-D2 and the Han Solo are still coming. They're still taking orders for those. So,
those are October, or do they get pushed out too?
As of right now, they're still October.
Okay.
And the Finn Rao, I think he's coming in December. I think he.
Yeah, and that Bistan 2-pack too.
Yeah, that'll be in Rogue One packaging, and it'll be a solid case of 8. And there's no other figures shipping in that assortment, just the Bistan and Rao or whatever his name is. None of you saw the Admiral Akbar 2-pack, right? Isn't that Toys R Us exclusive?
They've been found somewhere.
The manager at Toys R Us, he told me that they had them, but when I went back there and I asked him to get me one, because he said they had them in the back, and I said, will you get me one? And he's like, no, we're too busy right now. So I think they're... I think they're... So what about the Force Link gimmick? Do either one of you approve of that?
I haven't even tried it yet.
I have the Force Link. Did you either one of you buy one? Or
No.
No?
I got mine from Hasbro. I just have yet to play with it.
Oh. It is better than the Comtech. The sounds are a lot better. I've actually done a video on YouTube. I get over 100 views a day off of that thing. And they were... it's way better. The Kylo Ren's got like 9 different sounds, and some of the other figures, like the Praetorian Guard, he only has 3 sounds. Rey, I think, has at least 4, maybe 5. I haven't really fooled around with it too much. One of my friends on YouTube that I was telling you about, Toy Shelf Review, he got the... what do you call that? The big playset, the big BB-8 playset thing, and he's been fooling around with it, and so he probably know a little bit more about it. But are either of you excited about that playset, since we've been begging for playsets for years?
Absolutely not. I just kind of see, it feels like they're tone deaf. Playsets, and I told them this at Comic-Con, I'm very happy with just like the Kenner Power of the Force 2 Cantina and Jabba's Palace backdrop. They're made of cardboard. They cost like $12 at the time. I mean, if they want to upgrade something like that, make it in plastic, sell it for, 20, 30, include a figure. I mean, we don't need a $200 play set of a BB-8 that opens up and comes with, 2 action figures. That's just very tone deaf. It's very out of touch. And nobody's going to buy it. I mean, it's going to be that same cycle where they say, oh, we made a play set, nobody bought it. But, they're just not listening and doing what they should be doing. I mean, they could make a decent play set for, $50 if they really wanted to. It's very laughable.
What about you, Paul?
I totally agree with Victoria. Tone deaf is a perfect way to describe it. They have to cater to adults, and they're not. We're the ones with money. We're the ones who want to see certain things, and kids like what their parents like, and if the parents aren't happy, the kids aren't going to be happy. So I know it's a one-sided view, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you guys are saying. They made a play set, but they didn't do it the right way. It's not what we're asking for. I asked actually Paul last time, but he didn't seem to know exactly what I was talking about. But Victoria, they had like a Cantina, like a play set that came out. I don't even remember which line it was, but it came with 2 exclusive super articulated figures. It came with like at least 12 seats. You know which thing I'm talking about?
No. With super articulated figures, I don't. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is like the Walmart exclusive sets. They had the first 3 sets, I think, in 2002 or so. But those figures obviously wouldn't have been super articulated. And then Kmart had an exclusive version with the 3 bar sections. And then again, those were just very basic action figures. So I'm not aware of any set that has super articulated figures.
Oh. Well, maybe they weren't. I saw them on eBay recently, but I don't remember. I don't know. I was thinking about that. I was wondering if that was going to be something that they could do in the vintage collection, but put super articulated figures with that playset. I've actually talked to Steve Evans about that a couple of times, and he said that it's something that's very doable, and they're looking into it. And he basically asked me, he's like, well, do some kind of like poll or something. Maybe Paul could do that and find out which play sets that they want, and they can release those in the vintage collection with vintage collection quality figures. I don't know how much it would cost. Probably $59.99 though. I know the originals. I think they went for like $30 or $40. The ones I'm talking about, because that's about what they go for on eBay right now, about $40 to $60.
Yeah, that sounds to me like the original trilogy collection versions. It was the 3 bar sections that had 3 figures. There were a couple different sets, but they weren't super articulated. They were mostly like repacks and repaints.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't collect back then, so I wouldn't know. But so the Force Link gimmick, I know we all want more just articulation, so I guess you guys don't like the Force Link gimmick at all?
I haven't tried it. I can't really speak for it. I know that I watched that commercial on YouTube, and the Kylo Ren, his voice sounded like Wat Tambor from Attack of the Clones. So to me, it's not very promising based on the commercial alone, but I mean, I don't have any first-hand experience. I haven't had time to watch any videos of it, so I really couldn't say. I mean, I can say that I would prefer something more tangible that I could use, maybe like coins or, some display bases, things like that, but I mean, to me, that's not really something I would normally use.
I do have a good friend who's a reader of our site, and he has a son, and his son has been obsessed with the Force Link, gimmick, and he says his son just won't stop playing with it. So I think it may be a hit for kids, but
Yeah,
collectors just think it's, Comtech Part 2, which it is from a certain perspective. So, I really don't have a problem with Hasbro gearing stuff directly to kids. I mean, toys are a kid's thing, but it shouldn't be at the sacrifice of the collectors who have money and want to see certain things get made too. So I don't mean to sound self-centered about that, but they need to do a little bit for both,
Yeah, I agree.
Sure. And one thing that a friend of mine was upset about, he was going to be buying the Kylo Ren Pi silencer, but when he found out that he also needed to pay another, $25, $30 to get the Force Link on top of the 50 or 60 that the silencer already goes for, just to use the lights and sounds, he decided not to buy it. So I can see where people would be off by that as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's true. I already had one. I got one real cheap a few days before Force Friday. I found some at Walmart that they put out early, and the entire case was just completely smashed, like somebody just jumped on it or something. And every single one of the Force Link packages was completely beat up. And I took it up there, and they gave it to me for 14 something. So that's cheaper than what I can get it for wholesale. So I was like, all right, I'll take that. So it was wholesale. They're about $20 a piece, $18.80, something like that. They're $24.97 at Walmart. So now, did any of you notice when you went to the Force Friday event, was there like a huge line?
No, not at all.
No? Because when I was there, I did notice a major change in the dynamic. I don't know if it's been any different since 2015, but this is the first time for any kind of Star Wars event that I've seen where there was actually more women than men there. And I was completely shocked, and so was my neighbor. And the person that left my Toys R Us with the most stuff was like a 10-year-old girl. She had the playset, the Force Link bracelets, a couple of them. I mean, her dad was buying her everything. And she was scooping up all the good stuff, all the collectors. She was one of the first people in line, and all the collectors were just like kind of staring at her. It's like, wow. It's like, so I've never seen that before. And so it looks like Star Wars is definitely appealing to the other half of the population now.
Interesting. That's a very interesting observation. Like I said, I was only there, in the afternoon yesterday, so I didn't really. I was pretty much the only person that was looking at the stuff, really.
Uh-huh. We had about 75 people in our line. We had about 75 people in our line, enough to make it look like, it definitely filled up the entire Toys R Us parking lot. And there was a guy there with a stereo system blasting the Star Wars soundtracks. He got there about 10 o'clock at night. He was playing music for everybody for a couple hours. Okay, well, for now, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for Paul and Victoria. And I'd like to thank both of them for taking the time to be on the podcast. And is there anything either one of you would like to say before you go?
No, just thanks so much for having me on your show. And it's been fun chatting about our experiences with Force Friday. And, thank you so much.
All right, Paul?
Yeah, thanks for having us on. And I hope that people had a little bit better luck than I did. And I hope that, whatever they didn't get, that they'll have an opportunity in the very near future.
All right. Well, I hope you guys find everything that you're looking for, and hopefully the distribution gets better, and maybe Force Friday will be better next year. Or actually, I don't think there's going to be one until May.
I know something you don't.
Well, I heard Steve say that there was going to be one for Han Solo, but I kind of don't see that happening because Han Solo isn't it kind of like part of the Last Jedi line, sort of. But maybe it'll happen February. That's what I heard before. There's a Force Friday, Force Friday in February. So I guess we're gonna have another one in February, and then we won't have another one again until February of 2019 probably. But all right, well, thank you guys for being on the show, and I will talk to you guys later.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.